Okay, so now I want to open it up to everyone else. Do we have any questions? All right, let's start in the front. Why don't you come on up, because I can only stretch this so far before there's going to be some awful feedback.
Sure. Hi, my name is Joydeep. I've done some prompt engineering work. And one problem I've seen with a lot of generative AI is hallucinations. And it's mainly a result of flawed assumptions being fed into the system by user input. So one use case I could think of with hallucinations with respect to Hungry Root is that you mentioned how there are seasonal items that could be included in an order based on assumptions. But suppose somebody really loves pumpkins during the holiday season, but the model mistakenly assumed that enthusiasm about pumpkin-related items is just an overall love of pumpkins when it could just be seasonal. So how, unlike say customer support, which can correct back end, front end algorithm to fix a fundamental problem in the system, LLMs are a lot more complex. And how easy is it for the user or the customer service staff or even the developers to just quickly go in, hit the reset button, or just fix something on the fly efficiently?
Sure. Thank you for the question. It's actually super easy. And here's why. So while the algorithm is picking your items for you, customers have total agency. So you are given, if your box is coming, my box comes on Friday, so I have a Monday deadline. I can go in until 7 o'clock on a Monday and look at what the algorithm is recommending. And I can be like, okay, I like this recipe, I like this item. Or I can be like, you're not the boss of me. I'm going to delete everything and fill my own cart, right? So we have complete agency. And in the example that you give, if the algorithm puts pumpkin in somebody's box, they can take it out. And when they do it a couple of times, the algorithm will pick that up as an implicit data signal. And they'll be like, okay, actually, I think Joe doesn't like pumpkin anymore. So we're not going to give him pumpkins. So that's sort of the short answer there.
Yeah, Andy.
So obviously, one of the functions of the CFOs is risk mitigation, right? And we touched on a few risks here, which is hallucination, data leakage, and bad actors. So that everybody's worried about. So if you have somebody came to you and say, hey, I got a product that can make sure that there's no hallucination, they'll detect the leakage, and they'll make sure that the data integrity is always there. How do you guys feel about it? With your current operation right now, right? So, because obviously those are some of the risks you are identifying. And as soon as there's a product like that, right now they can actually mitigate all those risks.
I could go first. I mean, I'm a cynical person. I don't know if I was born cynical or I became cynical when I came into finance, but I think I would be skeptical, but I would try it out. I would try it out. And I'm sure these are problems that over time will get solved. So they're not unsolvable forever. And if there is a product that does it, we'll try it and see where it takes us.
Right. I could go next. So if I'm really allocating budget to a product, an AI product, those will be the table stakes. Otherwise, I wouldn't buy it.
Benji, do we have any from the virtual audience? Just want to give everyone online some love here as well.
Hey guys, this is from Lisa. I'm seeing digital twin applications for people's and roles. Where do you see the line in ownership of these models? Does the digital twin for my marketing manager trained on our processes, but their persona belong to the company ultimately or to the human themselves?
All right, who here secretly got a law degree in addition to everything else? Brave.
Yeah, let me be the brave one. So yeah, this is the question definitely for philosophers and CFOs. I believe we're pretty good in philosophy. So, like, as a management team, I'm going to answer this as just like a management team, not as a CFO, right? As a management team, we run the companies as of today on depending and trusting on people. So when we think about, let's say, marketing, we think about Joe and his responsibility for whatever that function does. So ultimately, I believe the agency would rest with people, and it might change, but not as far as like we could say it at this point in time.
I love that question. It just has me thinking. So my instinct is, if it's created on the job to help you be effective on the job, belongs to the company. And I remember a story, if I could share a story, a long time ago, there was an analyst worked in the business, and they made scorecards and reports, and here's the weekly scorecard, and here's the monthly scorecard, whatever. And this analyst was bold enough to like self-brand it. Like let's say his name is Jack Smith, let's just say. So it's the Jack Smith report, and he had a logo and he put it on his thing. And it's like, it was funny for about a second. And then it was like, what are you doing? Like, these are not your, copyrighted, branded, kind of reports. It's the company's report. So and that didn't last very long at all. This sort of self-ownership of a file.
Yeah, I will say that as soon as ChatGPT introduced the GPT store, I spent $400 on lasergpt.com. So at least I think that I own whatever digital twin we create. Okay, I think we have time for one more question. I'm going to get someone in the back. Yeah. Come on up.
Thanks, guys. I have a very CFO-y question about job costing. In the process of job costing and understanding sort of the ROI of what people do, how are you thinking about it here in this house of the future of work going forward? Meaning, if you have an AI workforce and you have a human workforce, how are you going to rethink about where you spend on partnerships with, say, like A.Team or different vendors, or even changing the job descriptions for your hiring plan?
I could get that started. It's definitely a tough question also. I think we're a little bit premature to be able to give a very linear answer to that. But as we think about how people are evolving, AI will evolve as well. And so it's up to us to really understand how can we keep up with the evolution of Gen AI, and to then understand how do we free up the people that are currently working in the workforce with these administrative tasks. And again, I think it's kind of become a theme throughout this entire panel here, which is there's a human connection that still is going to be very unique, as we are all human beings. And that, I think, is going to be really difficult for AI. And I think it will be possible in the future, but there's still something that makes us human, the ability to change our minds. So, for example, you put something into AI, there will be a calculation based on all this data that's available, and it'll give you this answer that it believes it is the truest answer. But let's say it says, I want pumpkin, and you know you want pumpkin because it is the right season, the ingredient is available. But you know what? One day you're like, I'm just so sick of pumpkin, I'll have it tomorrow. I don't want it today. That's human beings. Like, that is a feeling, that is an emotion, and I think that'll be really hard to replicate in AI. And I'm not saying it'll never happen. It could happen, but I think that it's a very long way for us to get there.
Well, and if you're looking for like comparing like a human worker productivity output to an AI worker productivity and output, the analogy I think about is like, yeah, we have computers which are really powerful, that could do processing. Think about accountants and calculators and Excel sheets, and I don't think we're at a point where we need to worry about like, hey, how do I compete with the AI machine? but rather the point of view would be, how do I produce more for the company with the help of AI? And they're not separated. We're not going to be looking at a competition with AI, but we'll be looking at people who own responsibilities and how they use AI to just increase the output.
This makes me think of what you said earlier around leaning into your superpowers, right? I think we're like entering an age in which it's going to become more and more important in education and job upskilling uh, to find and tap into those human superpowers, the things that we can do uniquely well that AI can't. I think we're about to face a huge challenge of reshaping education in that way, away from knowledge to more creative skills, storytelling, art, music, soft skills, critical thinking. So I think what you said earlier around leaning into those, like there's a extremely strong intersection there that we're gonna have to tackle moving forward. I don't think anyone can say they have the answers, but that's why we bring this group together. We're just at 7:00 now, so I'm gonna wrap up this panel. Thank you all for joining us. This is a fantastic discussion, such good questions. Before we wrap, I want to give a couple of plugs. So the bar is going to be open until 8. We'll continue the discussion there. We do have, you're all going to be getting an invite to this tomorrow. But our next AI Leaders Roundtable, this is a virtual session where we bring together the folks in our community into more constructive breakout groups. So this session is going to be focused on the big question of when you build versus buy AI technologies. We're going to be joined by Ali Meng, who's a product leader at Newmark, and she's going to be sharing inside one of the most old school industries you can find, real estate, how they've adopted generative AI there and thought about building tools for specific use cases. It's going to be a great conversation. Then you're going to have the chance to break out and share and learn strategies with other folks who are building or pursuing builds of new AI products. So even if you're just at the early stages, encourage you to join that. And secondly, is an ask, which is like, who should be here that isn't today? These events, as you know, are invite or application only. Most of this group and people who end up coming come from referral for someone else. So if you have anyone that you think should be here who is building with AI in an interesting way, or whose company is building with AI in an interesting way and would benefit from this, please just email us their name, ideally where they work as well, so and their email to AI@A.Team. I'll also include this in the follow-up tomorrow, so you guys can reply to that email as well. But if you have a chance to whip out your phones, if someone comes to mind, shoot us an email because we would love to have them here and as part of this community. But thank you all so much for being here. The bar is open. We got more food. We got more jams. Let's have some fun.